Hello everyone and welcome to another Minecraft update video. It's Snapshot 23W18A and this one, my friends, is a bit of a smaller one. And at the time of me recording this video, there isn't even a post for this snapshot on the website. But luckily, over on the Minecraft Reddit community, there's a post there to tell us all of the things in this snapshot. But first, we'll talk about something from last week's snapshot that is potentially a rather big deal. We had this tweet from Geggy Beans that hinted that something had changed with the lighting engine in the game. And what I've heard is that there's actually been huge changes to the lighting engine that will come with some performance gains. Now, you've always got to take that with a pinch of salt because everyone's computer and setup is different from one another, and what you're about to see may not transfer over to your experience, but let's do a crude test. I've come to this location on the Hermitcraft server specifically because this is where my frames start to drop. And we are using an optimized client with mods that are supposed to increase the performance of the game here. And as you can see, my frame counter, it dips below 15 FPS, which is pretty rough. So I've downloaded a backup of the Hermitcraft world and we're going to run it in single player on this week's snapshot. And of course we have to travel to the same location to get a feel for it. It certainly looks a fair bit smoother here, right? If we bring up the frame counter, you'll see that we're hitting around 30 FPS in this area, so something has improved. But as I mentioned earlier, this may not transfer over for everyone. One other thing I'd like to point out, I'm actually running this in single player, whereas when I connect to the server, my computer is not actually loading the world in the same way, of course. And also, this is vanilla, and my previous one was supposedly an optimized client with mods to make the game perform better. So this kind of looks like massive performance gains, but it's just one crude test on my computer. So, fingers crossed, when 1.20 drops, hopefully us PC players will see some significant gains here. I mean, I doubled my frames without the inclusion of optimization mods, and that seems like a good signal. There is another important step in this process. You also need to optimize the world from 1.19 to 1.20. And if you're dealing with a large world like Hermitcraft, this might take a fair bit of time to do. And in this week's snapshot, there were a couple of bug fixes related to the lighting engine, so if you are seeing any issues, it is still being worked on. And I have one other thing to show you from last week's snapshot. We're going to pull up the emoji menu, which is a part of Windows, and we're going to click on some of these emojis, which will put them into our chat. Although I think I have to press enter after I've clicked on a bunch. Aha, look at that. It's put in all the emojis that I selected, and I was just clicking on them at random. So what this is referring to is the glyph provider and the Unifont support that was added in last week's snapshot. So not only does it support Unifont systems, it will support emojis too. So you have access to all of these in Windows and then you can bring them into the game. And as I showed last time, you can then put these onto your clipboard and bring them into the game. So now let's get to this week's snapshot. First of all, a new advancement that's probably there to encourage players to use a little redstone. It is for using the chiseled bookshelf with a comparator. So if I go add one at the back here, that's all we needed to get it. Just place the comparator down. Okay, yeah, that's it. I kind of expected it to also need to interact with some books, but you literally just need to place the comparator down. Here's a nice quality of life change with the smithing table. You can now shift click any material into here in any order. Previously, you'd have to put the smithing template in first before these icons show up and you can put in the other items. And in the creative menu, something I was actually looking for just a couple of days ago in the redstone tab was the jukebox, which was missing but now has been added. This next change is a wonderful excuse to have a little bit of fun. I have a potion of jump boost here. Does that not get applied to rabbits? Okay, well, slimes and magmas may not be the only ones in need of this fix, but I have a special modified potion here. Gives them some radical jump boost. And you know me, I'm not going to stop there, am I? Come on, jump already, dude. Whoa, there they go. That is awesome. I'm noticing that the magmas, they don't take full damage, whereas the slimes do. I may end up regretting this. Oh, what have I done? Oh, they're jumping straight away. Okay, that's pretty wild. Okay, it's time to get back to making this snapshot video. Goodness me. And if it wasn't clear with all my jokes, it's the magma slime that now works with the jump boost potion effect. And here's a really small change that I missed from a previous snapshot. Cactus can now be placed on top of suspicious sand. And I suspect this means it can generate on top of it as well. Also, I think I found the world's most pathetic mineshaft. Yeah, this is literally it. Just the track and the one minecart. Okay, this next change is kind of a big deal, and it's based on an 11-year-old bug, one of the oldest ones left to be squashed, and it's to do with how you stand on a block, and how you can actually be on top of a block, yet the center of the player is over onto the next one. So what the game's been doing for the longest time is calculating various events based on the player's location when they're standing on this block, but it's treating them like they're on this one here. So you could stand on the edge of ice and not pick up its movement speeds, and you could fall down onto hay bales and not receive the cushioning effect to reduce fall damage. It would also stop the game from playing the step sound when you were walking over the edge of a block. This could also affect sculk sensors when the player was standing on top of a carpet block. Even though wall would be the next block across, these sculk sensors could still activate, but you can see that's been changed. And also related to this change, when you walk underwater on blocks, you will now actually hear the sound of the player walking on the block, just at a slightly lower volume. So there you go, an 11-year-old bug now squashed out of the game. Now I've got a question. Do you enjoy my coverage of these snapshots? If so, and you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel. It'll help you get notified of these videos. So thanks for considering, and let's crack on. So next we need to talk about telemetry data, as the game does gather information on your system and what you do when you're playing the game, and this is passed on to Mojang to help them fix bugs and develop the game. And there are 4 new additions here, 2 that are mandatory and 2 that are optional, meaning you can opt in to have that data sent to Mojang. The optional telemetry is as follows. We have game load times, which passes on information about how long it takes your client to load and boot up. And then we have advancement made, which will pass on when you complete advancement, and this could help them understand how players play the game better and help with game design. One of the required events is launcher name. It's going to pass on the information about what launcher you're using, so when diagnosing bugs, they know if they're dealing with the Minecraft launcher or a third-party launcher. And world loaded will pass on information about what realms map you're playing, so the name of that map will be passed on when you join a realm server. When it comes to technical changes, there's a new data pack version, number 15. There's changes to advancement triggers and also changes to loot table conditions and predicates. The post goes into much greater detail on both of these changes. This also includes some before and after examples. And as always, you can find a link to the post in the description box down below. Now last week we were treated to a new music disc known as Relic, and this introduced new music into the game, the soundtrack for 1.20. And if you are interested in hearing my thoughts on this soundtrack, I've uploaded a air quotes review to my music channel, which is an inactive channel, but I'll leave a link to that video in the description box down below. So I hope you enjoyed this week's snapshot video. Leave a like to support it and subscribe if you want to catch next week's one, as I do cover these every week. Anyway, that's it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.